Hello and welcome to Unexplained Arkansas. This is Amber.
This is Lisa.
Oh my gosh. Every time we do this, I'm like, how's she going to say it this time? I mean, yeah, so that's funny.
I felt that one deep.
I know. I know you did. I felt that very deep as well.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay, so today is our 49th episode, the big 49, and that means we're getting close to 50, and our 50th episode will be coming up in a week, and after that we'll take a short break for a couple of weeks, and then we'll be back around September. Yay! For
September 1st.
It's not technically a second season, but we will be back from a break. In September,
back, with episode 51.
Yeah, and hopefully some new stuff and some new technologies and things like that, because we're still learning this whole production part.
Yeah, you never know about us.
Yes. I hope we get a theme song that we can actually, we have one that somebody made for us, but I'm not really, we need somebody to go in and do some technical stuff and to add it, because we can't do that anymore.
Yeah. So, we've got a lot of fun stuff planned.
Yes.
Some big 5-0 stuff planned too. So,
golly, 50.
I know, 50 episodes. You people that are new, you've got a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah. Heck, while we're on the break, I probably need to go back and listen to some of them, because I've forgotten some of the things.
Me too.
Okay, so today we are going to have a really fun little episode about the Arlington Hotel, and we did visit this place together. We spent the night there, which was a situation which we will go into. But we did spend the night there. What was it? 2 weeks ago? Almost 2 weeks ago.
Yes. When we went for our meet and greet.
Yes, which was a lot of fun. There is a bookstore in the basement of the Arlington called Black Ribbon Books, and it's just precious. I love it. There are so many really cool things in that bookstore. Right next to it is a record store, and I think that record store is one of the coolest ones in Central Arkansas. I don't remember what the name of it is, though, but it's right next to Black Ribbon Books.
Yeah, and I don't either, but across from both of them is probably the most important thing down there, which is Mamoo's. It's the Mamoo's
ice cream. Oh, yeah.
So you can get some ice cream and get some books and records.
You can get some ice cream and some true crime books and a Fleetwood Mac record.
There you go.
Perfect afternoon, yes.
Yes. Well, yay. Well, so we will dive right in, and we're excited because we'll have a lot of fun stuff to tell you guys about our situation. I'm laughing already, so it'll be fun. Okay. So, you ready?
Yes, I am.
And okay. So, when you see the Arlington Hotel, like when you're in Hot Springs, it's just so impressive. I mean, it's 11 stories tall. It has its 2, towers on top of the building. And then you walk in to this lobby and you feel like you just stepped back into time. I mean, it's just beautiful and it smells so good. Like every time I walk into that lobby, it's heavenly. And I did ask, and I think I've been talking about this a million times, but it is white tea and thyme, and it is just magical. And it just takes you back. Like it feels like so nostalgic. It's just, you got to do it. So, but before I get completely swept away, I'll discuss the history of the hotel. You know how I do.
Yes.
So,
yes, I do.
Yes, you do. So the original, and I think you'll find a lot of this interesting, Amber. So the original Arlington Hotel was built in 1875 by railroad executive Samuel Fordyce. So everyone should know.
Sound familiar?
Because he is the namesake to the city in Arkansas.
Oh, that's what. Okay, yeah.
And then he is also the namesake for the Fordyce bathhouse that's right there, a couple blocks down
Right.
from the Arlington.
Yes, and that's the one that is still kind of, it still has
Yeah.
all the old stuff in it, right? It's the museum
Yes.
bathhouse.
I
Oh
believe
yeah,
so.
I put some really cool pictures up from our last, well, not our trip, but the one I had this spring with some other people. I had some really cool pictures. I mean, they even have the
Of the
gym
bathhouse.
that's it's totally intact from the 1920s. Oh, it's
Love
amazing.
it.
I love that place.
Yes, yes. It's so crazy. It's just very, very picturesque down there. So the other two partners, so Samuel had some partners, and they were another Samuel Stitt and William Gaines, but they did not have any cities named after them, sadly.
Oh,
So
sad day.
they were just partners. So they decided to build this hotel due to the shortage of hotels that they needed to accommodate the number of visitors that were coming in at that time to experience the natural hot springs, which at that time were thought to cure certain ailments or, in legends terms, even keep you from aging. That was kind of the thing. It was like,
Like a fountain of youth.
yeah, like a fountain of youth, or, just these hot springs were just a cure-all. So even before the Arlington was there, the bathhouse were being built and were becoming, very popular. So so this is interesting. The original hotel, so the original Arlington, was located across Fountain Street from where the Arlington sits now. Did you know that?
No, did not.
Yes. So basically, if you're looking at the Arlington currently, so the place across there is now like the empty park. So that's where the original structure sat. Okay. And that original structure was just a wooden frame, built place. It was 3 stories tall, and it had 120 guest rooms. At that time, in 1875, it was the largest hotel in the state at that time.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, it was
Definitely.
a big to-do, but it was only a big to-do for a minute. So it did have gas lighting, spacious rooms. It had a grand courtyard, and that ran between like 2 wings of the hotel. It did have colonial porches that ran the length of the hotel. So it was very, very nice. So just a few years later, they did add some more rooms to it, and they added on like a dining room with electric lighting. So there was just a lot of changes going on at the end of that 18th, century there. So there was just a lot of things going on. So in 1893, so we're talking not even 20 years later, due to wanting to keep up with the more luxurious hotels in the area that had come along, like the Majestic. And we'll probably do its own episode of the Majestic.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's definitely on the agenda and so important. But the Majestic had to come down in 2016 because of fire. So they just tore it down in 2016.
I think I have stayed there, but it's been maybe 18, 19 years ago.
Yeah. Well, it was, I wish it was still there, but they just couldn't, they thought about, like, there was a lot of people that did not want it torn down.
Well, it had a bathhouse below as well, didn't it? It had one in the hotel, correct?
I don't know a lot about the Majestic.
Oh, okay. I think it did. Yeah, because I stayed there I had a meeting in town, and I remember thinking, wow, this is one of the oldest hotels I've ever been in.
Yeah. And it would have really, if it was the original structure, it would have been even older than the Arlington. So,
wow.
But yeah. So in 1893, they decided to demolish the original Arlington Hotel and rebuild a larger, more elegant hotel right in that same spot. So still across the street from where it sits now. Okay. So this newer version would be called the quote unquote new Arlington. Yes, and it was designed with a Spanish Renaissance architecture. It had 300 guest rooms. It was taller. It was like 4 stories tall, and it also had twin towers, like twin corner towers, which kind of made it look even more tall or whatever. Once ready, this new Arlington, according to the Arlington's website, was called the most elegant and complete hotel in America. And this is according to an 1892 guidebook by Cutter. So the guidebook did show pictures of a spacious veranda, grand ornamental oak staircase circling a beautiful glass dome. It had a lobby, a pink parlor, and a grand ballroom. So
nice.
It just sounds like elegance. We do have a picture. I have a picture of this quote unquote new Arlington Hotel, and I will post once we have the episode up. So I'll be posting that with some other pictures that we will get to.
Yeah.
So.
I'm taking a look right now at I think it's the old structure. It's like a drawing.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. So kind of fast forward a little bit. So on April 5th, 1923, only 30 years later, so we're talking 30 years later after that quote unquote new Arlington happened. So an employee of the hotel noticed smoke coming from an electrical panel. So not good. So they called the fire department, and evidently the fire was burning so slowly that there were guests that kind of continued just to relax on the veranda.
Okay.
Yeah, they were just like one particular guest was just smoking his cigar. He was just like,
did
no
he
big
start
deal.
the fire?
Allegedly, no. It doesn't say, but probably. No, I'm just kidding. So kind of instead of going to his room to retrieve his items, they were just chilling. So this fire they thought it would be put out. So the fire ended up, building to such intensity that all of it would be lost. Like and in fact, it killed one fireman. So one fireman did die in that fire, which is terrible. And
it looks like they have pictures of it on Encyclopedia of Arkansas. Wow.
Yes. And the damage to the hotel was $1.6 million, which is like $24 million today. So it was huge loss, just a total loss. And of course, those people that were, hanging out on the veranda lost all their stuff. So,
Wow.
So after the building burned, so after this new Arlington burned, they decided to rebuild the Arlington, but across the street from where they were. So they were going to build it on that, we think of it's that Y intersection right there on Center Avenue. So the owners had originally been looking at this land anyway. They were going to do some like expansions of the Arlington, onto that land anyway. So they were like, hey, we got to rebuild this thing. We're just going to do it. And they did it good. So the current Arlington that is still standing was designed by the architectural firm called Mann and Stern. And they were the same firm that designed the Arkansas Capitol. And they designed the Little Rock Central High School. So they had many other notable buildings in Arkansas that are all now on the historical registry. So they wanted to do this thing. If they were going to have to rebuild, they were going to make it like amazing. So at this time, the hotel, they just thought this is going to be huge. Like they're going to make a huge hotel. Okay. And they ended up opening back up, like their opening day was December 31st of 1924. And they opened with this huge, large New Year's Eve fancy dinner and dance gala.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'd love to see some pictures from that.
Well, and I think we did take some when we were there. So when you first walk into the lobby of the Arlington, like the lobby level, if you see the front desk, you walk to the right and there's that museum. So they did have some pictures posted of that party. And I always feel like it's the party from The Shining. And I feel like Jack Nicholson
That's what I was sitting here thinking about.
Because that's the era. I mean, 1924, it's just got that whole, like, it was black tie. Like, everybody was in just the full tux. The ladies were in their, fancy gowns and jewels. Like, it was a big to-do. So yeah. So it burned in 1923, and they did open at the end of 1924. So this new, we'll call it the new Arlington, would have 560 guest rooms. I mean, this place is huge. And it would also have the 2 massive towers. So they did keep the towers the same. But, it's 11 stories. So it's 11 stories. It's massive, 560 guest rooms. They did not go with the Spanish revival, but they did change it up a little bit to a more Mediterranean look. And that's kind of exactly how it feels when you walk in that lobby. Like, it does feel like that.
I would agree.
Yeah. So you can kind of get that same thing. So again, yeah, it's just beautiful. Anyway, this Arlington would have the Crystal Ballroom, the Venetian Room, and back in 1924, there was a writing room, which is now the Starbucks in the gift shop. So just FYI, that used to be like a writing room. And then there used to be a card room, which is now the Magnolia Room. And the Magnolia Room there's kind of some, on the second level, there are some like boardroom, like all these things, these crystal ballrooms, like you can rent out the Arlington for huge meetings. I mean, it says on their website, if you go in, that some of these rooms can hold up to 1,000 people. The Arlington has even hosted the Miss Arkansas pageant in many years. So it's just it's a huge, amazing place.
We should have an Unexplained Arkansas convention there.
I am thinking the same thing because I'm serious. It is huge, just absolutely huge up there. We didn't even dive into all those places, but the Arlington was built with the in-house bathhouse going on. So it's in there. It's got the spa, and there are separate quarters for men and women. So, yeah. And me and Amber did not do the bathhouse experience. We came in for the meet and greet. We were tired. And then we had to get home the next morning. So, sadly, we did not do that, but we will. And we can get a tour of it. I did watch several YouTube videos that gave tours of them, and it was very interesting. But the Arlington was also built with 50 guest rooms that had natural spring piped into the rooms. And so this is our segue into discuss this. So
yeah.
Here we go.
I was not thrilled with that. And let me tell you why. Because I like my water chlorinated. I mean, I even drink bottled water, not sink water most of the time. I'm just very weird like that. But Lisa, I will just tell you what happened. We go to, what was it, the 4th floor? It was the Al Capone floor first.
Well, yes. So we when we checked in, we asked for we wanted a really creepy experience.
And that's how she put it for these people. The guy at the front, she goes, we really want a creepy experience. He goes, okay. He kind of looked at us and he's like, I'll put you on the Al Capone floor. So we get there and they were doing construction on that area of the hotel. Yes. And so that wasn't exactly something I wanted, because the doors were all open. I mean, it was a deal. So
it was a deal. Like every room around this room was, like you said, being worked on. And then this room, in fact, I will say, it did have some stuff. So it basically looked like it still needed renovation. Like it had some spots. It had some.
Because we're talking a huge or big old hotel that has so many things going on. Yeah. I mean, it was what it was. So we just decided we would ask for another room. We were those people. Let me tell you, I worked at a hotel a couple times in college. I worked at a hotel, and people like us, I would just roll my eyes at. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes,
but
I would too.
Lisa went back up there to talk to them about getting another room, and somehow we ended up on the 11th floor.
Yeah. So Chris was his name at the front desk, and he was very nice.
Yeah, he was nice. He was really sweet.
He was really sweet, and I
probably tired of us by the end.
Yes,
I would be.
Was. I know. And I was like, Chris, it's really creepy, but not in a good way. And he laughed, and then he gave us a new room. Yes. So he did tell me on the front end. So he was like, here's the deal. So this room is a mineral room, and you have to sign a waiver that
And I knew nothing about this waiver.
I did not tell you until later that
Like,
I signed
when
the
I
waiver.
say later, I mean,
Mhm.
like, we were sitting in the middle of the meet and greet, and
Mhm.
you know, like, I'm mid-sentence talking to these people, and Lisa's like, "Oh, yeah, we had to sign a waiver for the room." And I'm like, "What?" So
Mhm.
everybody saw my true, like, honest
Mhm.
expression when I heard that.
That happened. So we were in a mineral room, and we, like she said, we were on the 11th floor, which I will get into because, anywho, there's a lot more to this 11th floor. Okay. A lot more. But you can't just go up to the 11th floor, just FYI, guys, because there was a special code in the elevator, and I never mastered that code. Luckily, Amber did, because you have to press certain buttons in a sequence. So, anywho, but you can reach the 11th floor via the stairwell, just FYI. So when the hotel like opened back up, after 1924, the hotel was back, and it was just the fanciest place. Really, it was rivaling everything at this point. It was a big to do. So many politicians, celebrities, athletes, and gangsters would stay there at the Arlington.
Yes.
And we went into, we do have the episode number 21. So if you haven't listened, go listen to episode 21, which is Al Capone in Hot Springs. And it's all about Al Capone and his connection, but it does go into a lot of history, about Al Capone. So we did, Al Capone would rent out the whole 4th floor. And his favorite room, which is now labeled the Al Capone Suite, which you can rent, and we'll talk about that. It is room 443. And so he wouldn't just rent out one room, he rented out the whole floor. So, and a lot of people, have said that there's a lot of activity on this floor. And again, that's why he put us on that floor. So yeah. So we did get put on that floor because of that. Now, one of the cool things about the Al Capone room, and we talked about this in that episode, there was like the tunnel, so-called tunnel, that Al Capone had that led him so he'd go straight from his room, like through, I guess, the hotel. Like his room had a tunnel out that he could get into. I guess it took him. Oh no, this is real, and I'll get into that too. So It did have a tunnel in the hotel. Like he had a backdoor entrance in his hotel room that could get him out, and then he went under the street to across the street was the Ohio Club, which I believe now it is the Wax Museum. So there is like an entrance, not the Ohio Club, the Southern Club.
I was fixing to say the Ohio Club is still around, and I've been to that. Yeah.
Yes.
That's all I'll say about that. But yes, I've been.
Yeah. So it was the Southern Club back in the day. And so he could in his room actually looked out on the street, so he could tell it was coming. And then he had this way out of the hotel. Like he didn't have to go down the elevator. He didn't have to go through the lobby or anything. So I did talk to, when we were there the other day, I did talk to a staff member, and we were chatting about the, Capone room. And he said that there is still the door. There is I guess in the back, if you rent the Al Capone room, there is a door, but if you were to be able to go on the other side, he said the hotel management sealed up that tunnel that was there. So that passageway is sealed up now. So it is no longer able to be used. It is sealed up.
Wouldn't it be fun if you could do that? Wouldn't you love to do a ghost hunt down there?
Oh yeah, you could definitely do a Shawshank Redemption and just I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how it's sealed up, but it's very interesting. But he did say it was sealed up. I was like, ooh. So other notable people with rooms at the Arlington are Babe Ruth. So Babe Ruth has the Babe Ruth suite. And then the Reagan, which is Ronald Reagan. So he actually stayed, and Babe Ruth spent a lot of time in Hot Springs. He would stay at the Arlington. So evidently back in the day, they would do the Major League Baseball players would do spring training in Hot Springs. Isn't that interesting?
Yes.
So we're talking the Babe. So he has the suite, and then Ronald Reagan has a suite. So he had stayed, during his his time in office, and he came during like a Republican, committee. So he stayed at the Arlington. So he has a room. He has a suite. There is also the presidential suite, which is where Bill Clinton would stay. And then there's also one more suite called the parlor suite. So you can, and I will say, when you go on their website, you can't rent these rooms. You do have to call. So, and we'll kind of get into that, but you do have to kind of call ahead and book those rooms. So other people mentioned to have stayed at the Arlington over the years is Tony Bennett. Aren't you amazed? And then Yoko Ono.
I'm sorry. Was I supposed to go ooh and ah over Tony Bennett and Yoko Ono? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so Yoko... this article said Yoko Ono, which I thought was funny, and then another article said all the Beatles had stayed there. So I was like, well, that makes more sense.
Really?
I don't know why they just mentioned Yoko Ono, because she wasn't the most popular.
Are you sure the Beatles stayed there? I would say
that's what it said. According to one article, it said John Lennon and the Beatles, and then another thing said Yoko Ono, which I'm thinking, if the Beatles had stayed there, surely they should have their own room.
Well, I mean, they touched down in Walnut Ridge for like 10 minutes, and they have a whole
and they have a plaque.
They have a whole plaque thing going on down or over there. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I'm going to need a little more evidence for that one.
So, well, that according to online, it said this. So Bart stated. It's true. So Barbara Streisand stayed there, and it said that many presidents, of course, Reagan, and such, but President Truman and President Franklin Roosevelt, and then also President George H.W. Bush. None of those presidents got their own rooms. I guess they just had to stay in the presidential suite, like Bill Clinton.
Well, Clinton was born in Hot Springs, or was he raised in? He was born in Hope and raised in Hot Springs, so of course he's going to have, his own room, right? Doesn't he have?
Yeah, of course. Well, he doesn't have his own room.
Oh, he doesn't.
It literally says just the presidential suite.
Oh, okay.
You weren't listening. I just listed the suites.
I thought you meant it was Clinton's
it's not
president.
The Clinton suite. No, it's it just says the presidential suite, which is where he would stay. So evidently, like maybe George H.W. was like, no, I got to stay in the Republican suite, like he was in the Ronald Reagan. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. And then President, I don't know where President Franklin Roosevelt stayed, but he did stay there, and they do in their little museum downstairs. They do have a lot of interesting items.
They do President actually, Roosevelt. And that gave me like Shining vibes when we were looking at all that stuff too. Like the whole trip did, and that's why I made that little funny little meme with the twins. I actually took a picture of just the hallway just for fun, and then I removed the background from the Shining twins and I put them in front of the hallway.
In front of and then tell them what I did.
Oh yeah, and then you put our faces on the twins. So I get so that was pretty funny.
We'll post that again. We'll post that again if you guys missed it. But go on our Facebook and Instagram.
You know what's so weird about that? And I don't know if you did this purposefully, but I'm always on the left, and you're always like, if we're looking at the picture, I'm always on the left. You're always on the right. You did that with the twins too. You put me as the left twin.
You know what was, and that is true. But I felt like the left twin was taller.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's why I did that. So you are taller than me, and I don't like it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I don't like it. So that's okay though. So we are going to talk about our experience before I go on to some scary stuff. But anyway, so we did go for the night. Tell them, just everything about the place. Like, remember the music in the hall?
Yeah. I mean, I think that they pump out that
awesome.
1920s kind of music, and
all night
all
long.
night long. So I mean, if you go out in the hallway, or I mean, it's in the hallways, it's down in the
Yeah,
lobby, and
it's
I think they
everywhere.
do that purposefully to kind of give that vibe,
Oh
and it
yeah,
works. It really does. I mean,
it works. It
yeah, I
works so
mean,
well.
just it's a very sensory experience, I think, because the just the way it looks and the things you hear and just the way it smells, it's just the whole place is just a very sensory experience for people, or for me it
It
was.
really is. Yeah, and I don't remember, like, I've stayed at the Arlington before, and I will say it, it is under renovations. They've been working on the outside, they're working on the inside. I mean, it's a huge place. It's old. Like, you could tell the window in our room was new. Like, our room that we got the second time, it was really nice. And I will say it was nicer than when I stayed a few years ago.
The view from the 11th floor, even though I was
Oh, my
griping
goodness.
about the water not being chlorinated,
The
yes,
water.
or whatever, the water not being whatever, but
Yes, chlorinated. Yeah.
it was a gorgeous view, and I took a lot of pictures of it.
Yeah. Yeah, we were right. We were pretty much getting that Al Capone view.
Yep.
We were just higher. So, and it was, I mean, and just, yeah, like you said, it's just like a whole experience.
It's a
and
neat
I feel
town.
like
I mean, the town is just
it's got so much history.
it has character, history. I mean, it's a gem. I mean, my two favorite places in Arkansas, consistently have always been Eureka Springs and Hot Springs, because it's just so neat.
Yeah.
Just the architecture and what they offer and the people there. It's just, both of those places.
And like the old things.
I love history, and I love, I just love the way that the structures are different from what you see in other parts of Arkansas.
Yes. And I love that they've kept things.
Yeah, that too.
Like, they've kept it in the way it
there's
was.
so
like,
many towns in Arkansas and cities that have, torn down some of the older structures, from the I say turn of the century, but from the early 1900s, late 1800s. But both Eureka and Hot Springs have tried to keep that stuff intact whenever possible.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. And like, I really like, even with the scent, like, you know how like when you read a book and they talk about like especially in the old times, like walking into a hotel and like the fresh cut flowers and stuff. Like, I think that's why they do that
definitely.
scent. It's just very floral, and it just makes you think, like, it just takes you back.
I like the dining room as well. I mean, I really loved breakfast the next morning. One thing about it, every time I go there, and sometimes we just go over there for breakfast, they have a consistently good breakfast.
Yeah, breakfast. Like, if you can dine there, like, I would love to, like, I've only had breakfast there. Like, I want to have a whole dining experience. Like, there's so much more I want to do in Arlington, and I'll tell you why as we get going. But still, like, me and Amber, we checked in. Everyone was, you've got the valet parking, and everything's just so. And then, we got to our room. It was just amazing. We had an amazing night. So, I mean, the Hornybrook Mansion was awesome. There's something about the Arlington. I think it's just like the haunted aspect, like the haunting. It feels like you're at like the Stanley Hotel in Colorado, like you're at the Shining Hotel, like that's how it feels. I think that's why I like it so much.
So if you are a fan of the movie or the book The Shining and you haven't been to the Arlington, that's probably something you'll want to do.
Yeah. Now, we do need to discuss. So people in the hotel are running around doing their own ghost hunts. So you need to remember those gentlemen.
Yeah, we ran into a couple of ghost hunters that were not staying at the hotel. They were just there looking for what were they looking for? I don't even remember.
They said that they were using like some sort of app game or some sort of, like, there was some sort of game on their phone. And then they did have an app. I know they had an app, but they were headed towards which level? They were trying to get to
ours.
11.
And you needed a key to get to ours.
So we got them. No,
Oh,
you
the
needed that
code, I
code.
mean.
So we did get them. Yeah, we did get them there. They were like, "Oh, we're going to 11." I was like, "Yeah." You are. So they were very nice, but they were looking at some sort. Either they were looking at stuff online to tell them what to search
I think
for or
that's what they were
something,
doing.
or they
I
had one of
don't
those
know.
apps.
I've looked at some of those EVP apps, and those are silly.
Mhm.
You know, I
Yeah.
doubt that. They probably had something online that they were trying to find,
Something.
kind of like we were last time we were
Yeah.
there when we were looking
Yeah.
at the Al Capone room and stuff. So
They were pretty interesting. They were
yeah.
cracking me up. But we had our meet and greet. So we came in early, we got, freshened up and in our room, and then the meet and greet was like we went down at like 5. So you got us some coffee, they've got the Starbucks, and then we, had the meet and greet, and that was just amazing. All the people that came, it was just awesome.
Yes.
I was fretting about it the whole time. So anyway,
On the way there.
and you were trying to calm me down.
I mean,
and normally it's the other way
yeah.
around. But you were pretty chill. So, but that was really great. And of course, the Black Ribbon Books, Nanette that owns it, she was awesome and just awesome. So after that, we were starving.
Yes.
So me and you sprinted. I was like, I need food because I was about to get like, I don't know. I was between hangry and fainting.
Yes.
I was so hungry. So we went to Rocky's Corner.
Which is amazing. Oh my gosh, love that place.
That was so good. That was so good. And then we may or may not have walked or driven across to Oak Lawn. And then, but we were back in our room.
We didn't. We put $20 in the slot machine and then came home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we were you were pretty tired. We were pretty tired. So I I venture out of the room in the middle of the night?
I don't even pay attention to that anymore. I'm
just up. I think I got up at like 3 or 4. And
I'm not doing that.
And so,
like ever.
I did find something up there, which I will talk about soon. So I think, it is next on my list. So I will talk about that. So when we were on the 11th floor, I didn't even venture out much because we were so busy, but like our room was right across from the elevators. And I will say those elevators are, when you walk into them, you feel like they're old. So those elevators that are there have been the same elevators since 1969.
Oh gosh, I'm glad you're just telling me that now because I do have a little fear of elevators.
Mm-hmm. So those main 3 elevators right there. Yeah. 1969, lady. So I kind of walked further down the hall, and then I found the most amazing thing in the whole wide world. So I will post these pictures, but like if you go down the hall, there was like, you could actually, it had a spring fountain, so you could get the natural spring water out of the fountain.
Oh, okay.
I did not do that. And then it had like this door, and it had it looked like a suite because it had like a doorbell, but it looked old, and it was literally like all this awesome woodwork, and it had stained glass door, and then it said 1124 above it. So I'm like, oh my goodness, this is a room. And then beside it was a very old elevator. So I'll post this. So that elevator, according to the hotel people, because I did call them, that elevator beside room 1124 is a working elevator.
Nice.
But it's literally a manually operated
elevator. You couldn't pay me enough to ride in that.
I'm so doing it the next time I go. Okay, so it goes right to the spa. So it is basically, it doesn't go downstairs.
So it's not a private elevator to the spa.
It is. So if and I don't know what other floors it comes out on, but it takes you directly to the spa, and it is manual, and it is original. Okay, let that all sink in. Okay, so I immediately upon seeing room 1124, I fell in love, and I wanted to get in there, and so I did go downstairs, like the next day I went downstairs, and they're really nice. Like, they're so great. And they really, like, the hotel is so open. Like, I mean, like we said, there were people that weren't even staying there that were just like ghost hunting. So it's pretty open. I think that there's no way for them to really like be on lockdown. So anyway, but I asked about the room, and because I did ask another, like I did corner, like a, what do you call those? Like a maintenance man. And I think he was a maintenance man. But anyway, he said that was a room and that I could go downstairs and try to get a key if no one was staying in it. Well, I went downstairs and I talked to this really nice lady, Ariel, and she could not find the key. So she's like, well, I don't know if they actually are letting people in that room anymore. And I'm like, oh, so then I really want that room. I'm like,
oh, trust
I wanted
me,
that
and
room
I was
so
ready to go home by that time. And I was like,
I know you were like, really,
no,
Lisa?
well, no,
and
I
I'm
mean,
just
I
like,
know you well enough to know that I'm just going to sit down.
you were
I just sat down and I was like, okay,
You did.
yeah.
You did. You were patient. I knew you were ready, and I was like, man, I want to see this. So I could not go into the room. Ariel could never find the key. And so I was like, when I got home, I was looking on the internet. Like, there are 0 pictures of this room. There is 0 information, hardly, on, like, nothing. And I'm like, oh. But there's tons of information about, like, the Capone suite and stuff like that. So anyway, so I'm super intrigued by this. So I did call yesterday. I phoned the hotel and I got a really nice gentleman by the name of Chris. So he tells me that suite, the mysterious 1124, it is the Smarty Jones
The
room.
Smarty Jones room.
Do you know what that is? And who that is? It is a horse. It is allegedly, it is a legendary horse or racehorse from Arkansas, I guess. So it is a very, very swanky room. So then I found out that room cost $800 a night. And
what's the water
I did
situation?
Find some more. I don't know. It's probably the natural spring.
Then I would not do it.
So evidently this room is legit. It's fine. It has, I mean, the door is literally stained glass and just this stained wood and stained glass, and the whole room is like that. It is a 2-bedroom suite. It has 2 actual bedrooms. It has a living room. It has like a deck. Like, it's a whole thing, and it is nice. Like, nice. So, and it is not on their website at all. Like, you will not find the Smarty Jones room listed. Just FYI. No. And I told you, if you go to their website, it is a hidden menu item that I want to try. Wow. Like, I'm like, and I don't know if I want to pay $800, but I'm thinking if I could pay
$800, I'll just tell you that.
Okay. Well, here's the deal. If we take me, you, and then 5 or 6 other ladies, we could split it. What do you think?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. Maybe.
I'm just saying one day, but maybe.
If I get breakfast.
I mean, but now I will say this. So the Al Capone suite, like all those other suites I mentioned, the Babe Ruth, the Al Capone, the Presidential, the Reagan, all of those cost anywhere from $350 to $400 a night. So this Smarty Jones is double.
Well, who has stayed in this room? Do you know? Anybody really famous?
I don't know. There is no information about it. It's the most mysterious room ever. So if people listening have information,
named after a horse.
I did find and it's named after a racehorse. I did find one review, and it was like a family said that they stayed there, and they said it was really nice. So evidently it was like their whole family, Evidently this room had 4 bathrooms, like 2 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms. It's a deal. So yeah, I just want to stay there. So, so now more on to like the paranormal. Okay. So depending on who you talk to, like whether you're talking, it seems like everybody that I've either watched on YouTube or read articles or being there myself, like everyone you talk to has a different story, but there is a very consistent thing. So they do tell you hauntings happen on the 4th floor. Definitely the Al Capone suite evidently has a lot to it, but evidently the most haunted room is room 824.
824. Why?
824. Now, this is weird. I don't know why. So the only thing
So why didn't we
that
get
was mentioned about this
824 the
room,
other night?
well, I didn't know that it was the most haunted, and I don't. Maybe it was rented because it is the most haunted. Because Chris would have given it to
Okay.
us. I asked him for creepy, but evidently, so this room has a lot of what's called poltergeist hauntings. So it does have things flying off the bathroom shelves. Allegedly, these are the stories that tons of people have given. It has the faucets in the bathroom turning on and off on their own. It has lights coming on and off on their own. So these are the type of things that are coming out of 824 consistently. So, and I will say, when I called and talked to Chris, he said 824 is the most haunted room. So
Sounds like that's where we should have stayed.
Evidently. So, but I want the Smarty Jones.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Okay. But if we can't get the Smarty Jones, yeah, 824 sounds right. So I did watch a YouTube channel. It was a video, and they were paranormal investigators. So they were given the room 824. So while they were staying there, they did put out what was called a REM pod. And I did look that up. So it is just basically, it's supposed to alert investigators to changes in ambient temperatures.
Okay.
So, yeah. So they put the REM pod like on the bed, and then they put what they call trigger items, which this is really interesting. So this is something we could do the next time we go to a haunted, bed and breakfast or something. It said trigger items. And so their trigger items around the REM pod, they put a pin, and they put the remote control, and then they put a glass of water, like with some water in it, on the bed. So they put this all around on the bed. So they would ask questions, and they did experience the REM pod picking up things, they said. So they were impressed.
Looks like you can get a REM pod for $179.90 on Amazon, delivered by August 8th.
If you times that by 4, we could stay in the Smarty Jones room.
Yeah.
But that is interesting. Do you want to get
a REM pod? I don't know.
We'll
maybe.
We'll talk. So they also they did some EVP sessions, which I don't know if you've ever watched YouTube videos, people doing this EVP sessions. It is the most annoying thing to watch, because for some reason, I watched several. It's like they put that sound in, and it's just this horrible like sound, and I'm like, I can't watch this. So I had to like fast forward it through that exchange. But on they did pick up some EVPs, and there was one EVP that they picked up, and this was in the Al Capone suite. So they picked up the word hiding. And it was pretty clear. Like, I will say that it was pretty clear, and we'll be posting references and such. But they did also pick up, like, they had like the infrared camera that could pick up like the heat, so they aimed it. And this was room 824, where they were saying they aimed it like at their ceiling, and they were picking up like, something, and they were very excited about this. So it was like a shadow, and it was it was like on the ceiling so it wasn't like, I was thinking it was like, there are a lot of, how hotel rooms have mirrors? There's a lot of mirrors everywhere. So I was thinking it was like a reflection, but it was above where the mirrors were. And it wasn't in the bathroom. It was like in the main, room, the main. And it looked like it wasn't like a big suite. 824 just looks like a regular
mirrors really
like
freak
room.
me out.
Mirrors?
I never told you that, but they really do. My grandmother died 5 years ago, and somehow I inherited one of her old mirrors, and it was from, what was it called? Home Interior, but it's still an old mirror from like the 70s, and I have it in my it's like a wall mirror, and it's in my room. And at night, sometimes when I wake up and I forget about it and I see it, it just freaks me out. I always think I see something in that mirror. Yeah, it's a Home Interior mirror.
Well,
If anybody knows what that is, it's,
What?
it's like those cheap, like home, whatever,
Yeah.
it was kind of like Avon. So,
Yeah. That's funny. I do remember that. I was thinking, so it's funny that freaks you out, but like, I mean, I think back in the olden days, like when someone died, they would cover the mirrors, and it had to do with like their
I don't know, maybe my
spirits.
grandmother's spirit is in a 1975 home interior mirror, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe so.
She would be. I mean, she loved home interior as much as she loved Avon and Mary Kay.
Yeah. 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 And you wore, what was that? Merle.
I wore Merle Norman. That wasn't a home sales like pyramid scheme.
I know, but that felt like, I felt like you were like the only teenage girl.
I was, but it had good coverage.
It had excellent coverage. You were like, you could take it on. Everybody had like CoverGirl, and Amber's like, I have Merle Norman. I'm like, what century was that from?
The 40s, like my
just
grandmother and 50s. That's what they wore, I'm sure.
I just thought
Okay,
it was
we've gotten way off topic, but I am really freaked out by
off
mirrors. So when you say scary mirrors, I'm like, like all the time when I stay places, and I especially, well, like when we went to the Hornibrook Hotel, the mirror in that old bathroom scared me too.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that whole place, it was beautiful but creepy for sure. Well, okay, so these investigators did explore like a lot more places, and like I said, they picked up some EVPs, and then they did definitely pick up some things in their room. There was a comment on their video, and it just said, one person mentioned that they had seen a ghost walking, and they didn't describe this ghost. They just said they saw a ghost walking to the stairwell on the way to the 11th floor. So that was just somebody. I know, that was just literally a watcher of the channel just mentioned that. Another YouTuber said that they had a weird feeling on the 4th floor. So they had gone to the 4th floor to get some water from the spring, so you can get it, you can get it in the lobby. You can, they pipe it in like fountains throughout the hotel and such. So they were getting some water from the spring, and they felt like someone was right on their back.
Now I can't wait till
like breathing.
Oh gosh. No, I can't wait till we get to the Crescent Hotel episode in a few weeks, because I have a similar story about Eureka Springs and staying not at the Crescent, but in a little place near it. But we'll talk about that, in that episode.
That whole place, I can't wait. We're going to do a 2-parter. Yep. That's going to be awesome. So there was another video that interviewed a hotel housekeeper that said one day, so she was starting her shift, and what they did at the beginning of their shift, they would go, because this place is so huge, they would go into their area and they would open all the doors. And she did say it was the 4th floor again. So she opened all of her doors up so she could, whatever. And they were stripping the beds. And then, so she went back to room 449, and she found that the door was shut. Like the door, it wasn't just like, because these doors, they're hardy doors. Like they're original wood doors. I wouldn't say they're the metal doors that slam now in hotel doors, but they are hardy doors. And the door was shut. So when she went so she had to open it back up. And when she went in there, she found that the window was open.
That's scary.
Yeah. And there was, and listen to this, there was an S kind of, I guess, written on the glass. And she said it was literally written on the outside of the window. Oh, now
that's freaky.
Like it wasn't written on the inside. When she was telling this story, she said you see her in the video, she literally gets chills just talking about it.
That would
and
do
she
it.
Did say
that would do it for me.
Oh yeah. Ooh, I gotta chill. She said that floor 6 and 7 have a lot of activity. So that's what I'm saying. Depending on who you talk to, it's like the 4th, obviously the 8th. Like she's saying 6 and 7 have a lot of activity. And I have a little story about 2, so don't remind me. Don't let me forget. So evidently back before 2015, according to an article in the Sentinel, the Hot Springs Sentinel, it said that hotel management discouraged employees from discussing any haunted happenings.
Yeah.
So, so they, at that time, before 2015, they didn't wish, for anyone to know about it or discuss it because they were concerned that people would not stay there. But now they realize that the stories just enhance and have enhanced the popularity of the hotel. So now they embrace it and they fully talk about it. So in that article, they interviewed a Carmen Jones. So she worked for the hotel. She was like a director or something. And she had worked for the hotel since 1997. So she said that she had experienced strange happenings throughout the hotel, and countless guests had told her about their experiences. For Joan, she had unexplainable lights flickering and dimming in two of the event rooms on a regular basis. And these were not lights like they had the lights checked out. In fact, she said she went on and stated that the Magnolia room downstairs, they would be setting it up for like a group, and that the light will go bright real fast and then it'll flicker. And the maintenance people had electricians come in and check out everything, and there was absolutely nothing wrong with the wiring. And in fact, like these lights would dim and they weren't on a dimming switch.
Creepy.
So I know. So there was absolutely nothing to explain the light situation. She did say also in the Venetian dining room, there was just one chandelier out of many, and there's many, that would all of a sudden get really bright and then really dim. And again, it's just one of the chandeliers. It's not on a dimmer. There's absolutely no reason that should happen. She did say guests in room 824, according to all the experiences, like I said, had poltergeist happenings with the faucet. And typically, so it was like the faucet, the falling off the shelves, and then the lights.
Do you think that has something to do with energy or?
Yeah. I mean, it definitely could. I mean, it could be trapped energy. And a lot of people, like when you read about it, they think that maybe even the springs themselves have some sort of energy. So they're thinking that that's why there's so much, and the springs are piped into the hotel. So, I mean, that would make sense if if there's something to it. Cause I've always heard that, what is it, that limestone, could be an energy conductor. So I don't know if, people are thinking these springs are conducting the energy as well. But it does say in room 824, the most active time in that room is between 3 and 4 a.m.
Isn't that the witching hour? Allegedly. It is.
Yeah. So Jones went on to explain that a lot of guests that have stayed in the Capone suite, they tell of smelling cigar smoke. So the hotel is a non-smoking hotel. Also, so they're smelling cigars from Capone probably. So also there's like doorknobs, like there's doors in the rooms that that do not have like knobs on the other side, and those knobs move. And I'm telling you, if that happened, if I was staying in that room and that was happening, I'd be like freaking out. Like that would scare me to death. I don't know if cigar smoke would scare me to death. I wouldn't like it, but like a doorknob moving, that means that they've got enough energy to move a doorknob.
Wow.
Like, let that sink in. Anyway, there's just no explanation to the whole doorknob situation. So on the 7th floor, the stories go that there's a lady in white. So she's a lady in a white gown and she's walking around.
It's not a lady in red.
They're
from the 1980s. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Is dancing. Sorry. Anywho, now I'm thinking of that. No. And the lady in white is walking around, and then there's footprints in the carpet. And according to this article, which they did not put this photograph in, evidently a guest had gotten like photos of the indentions, and this was room 723.
Again, why didn't we stay in any of these rooms?
No, you probably wouldn't want to. Or maybe you would if they'd
If
had
they
different
had
water.
different water, I'd be all about it.
Yeah. Another figure that guests have sometimes seen is on the men's side of the bathhouse. They say there is a man that looks like a soldier. And maybe he's just like trying to get in on some bath action. I don't know. So
Is he on the men's or the women's side?
Okay. He's on the men's side. He's hanging out on the men's. So he's not trying to look at the ladies. So I will discuss the bathhouse. So they do have like pressure statements, like everything when you go in the bathhouse, like everything's like original, like and so they do have like sauna, the bath, like you can take a bath, you can take a shower, they have like, you take like a really hot bath. So they put you in like a hot bath, I think, for like 15 minutes, and then you take like a cold shower. So I've heard of those things, but they also have like the sauna. It's like called a dry sauna. And then they had all kinds, they have massages. They'll do all the spa stuff there, but all the stuff in the bathhouse when you go look is original. So it's really cool. It's just very neat. So I did find one more video that I'll tell you about. So they were having, this was more paranormal investigators. So they were doing an EVP session. And it did say, I believe it was the 4th floor. Yeah. So when the investigators called Capone Scarface, which again, if you listen to our Al Capone story, he did not like that nickname. So immediately after they said that, they did catch an EVP that sounded, it was kind of like a whisper, but I did hear it. And it sounded like pissed off. Like you can't tell what he's saying, but it's kind of like, it's kind of like I don't know. It sounded really pissed off. And we'll be linking these YouTube videos so you can go watch them, people. So anyway, they also mentioned people, they did not see this, but people see a bellhop, like a ghostly bellhop walking around on the 4th floor. And then there is did
he wear the little jacket that is in a frame downstairs?
Yes. Yes.
I took a picture of that because I thought that was so cool.
I know. It is cool. You need to post. Yeah. So they also said so there are a lot of apparitions, but one, you've got the lady in white, you've got the soldier, you've got the, this bellhop, and then there is a little girl in pink. Evidently there's a little girl that wears pink. Now there have been a lot of people that do see just people dressed in period, like old timey wear whenever. And they tend to see these people like in the hallways, like late at night, and sometimes in the lobby. So just saying. So yeah, so there's tons. Here's the deal. Do I think the Arlington is beautiful? Yes. Historical? Definitely. Haunted? Most definitely. So I feel like there is definitely some energy there, and it's old. It's like 100 years old. It's just so awesomely creepy and haunted.
Nice.
So that's my consensus. Now I will say, amenities wise, go stay there. They do have a 2 tiered pool in the place. They have a hot tub, they have the spa situation. It is a cool place to stay.
It is. And if I didn't have such an aversion to unchlorinated water, it would have been a fantastic evening, but I just can't get around that. There are some things that for me is just non-negotiable, and unchlorinated water, non-negotiable.
And for me, I was just signing that waiver like, okay.
I still can't believe you told me when you told me. So that was funny for everybody watching me because they could see my eyes.
That's part of the whole experience, Amber. You just have to sometimes you need to immerse yourself in things that, make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like unchlorinated water. But like we said, we did not have Legionnaire's disease. We are good to go.
I took a shower. Deal. When we laugh, but it's a serious deal. It's scary.
That water is freaking hot coming from the the bowels of the earth. The bowels of the earth, Amber. And maybe that's what makes the place haunted. Or maybe it's the fact that the elevator is like from 1969.
Yeah.
Who knows? All I know is I want to stay in the Smarty Jones room, and I definitely want to go back to the Arlington. I've stayed there now twice, and it's amazing, and it's just a neat
really
experience.
is.
And I'm thankful that they have kept it a neat experience with their, just playing to the old timey.
Yeah, I'm also grateful for that as well. That there are people in Arkansas still wanting to maintain some of these amazing old structures and still have them usable.
So yeah. And so hopefully this episode people found something new, or maybe they can tell us something that I missed. So please do. But I did not know that the Arlington had moved across the street. I had no clue before we went there about the Smarty Jones suite. So anyway, it was just awesome. So, and just definitely haunted. Did we have anything happen specifically?
No, we did not.
I was tired. We were tired.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if we did, I would have ignored them. Said, yeah, sorry. Go to the next one.
I'm pretty sure we did go to bed so late. I think normally I walk around at 3 and 4. I think if I'm remembering correctly, it was like 4:30 when I did my walk around. And I did go out into the hall, and that's when I found, 11:24. Anywho, so that's all we have.
Awesome. All right. Well, then fun. That means that we are now gearing up for our 50th episode, which will be in just a few days. And we'll put out some information about what to expect. We will just, I know we're going to read the mean tweets or whatever we're going to call them. And we are... we're going to read the mean comments. We also have some users or we also have some stories from listeners. We have listener stories.
Yeah.
And
yes.
We're also we have listener stories. We're also going to do the best of. So we're going to talk about some of our favorite moments that we have had in the last, what is this, 9 months of doing this. Yeah. And then we will start again with episode 51 in September, and do this all over.
And it'll be depressing.
And we will do this all over again.
With a bang. Yes, all over. We'll just keep on going.
Yeah. We're not going to call it a season 2, but it's going to be.
You just love to.
What?
Amber loves
I love the word season. It makes me it's kind of like semester. I live by semesters, so
it must be your.
It has to be, but it kind of.
Next semester we'll start with 51.
Yeah, do you feel better saying semester instead of season? Okay, good. But yeah, so I feel like this is kind of a rejuvenating point at 51. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
There
you go.
A renaissance. That's right.
So just a little bit of info, real fast to the listeners, because you guys are awesome, but please go follow us on the Instagram and Facebook and share. YouTube, we're so close to our goals on YouTube. So please continue to help us there. Buy the t-shirts,
the stickers.
I'm working on getting the decal on our website, but you can message me if you have Cash App and I'll send it to you. What else? What else do they need to? Join our Patreon, and we will just see how big we can get in the next iteration of this podcast. So in the next semester. So all right, okay. Yay! Well, we've got the 50th coming up in a few days. We will talk to you guys soon. Love ya. Bye.